Yeah, I'll start off. I'm Dan Yoon. I work on the global marketing team for Marvel Legends.
I'm Ryan Ting. I am also on the global marketing arm of this Legends supergroup here.
And I'm Dwight Stahl. I'm on the design side of Marvel Legends.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time today. The I think the Legends line has been the one that I think like perpetually keeps going through the year. And it doesn't seem like it's slows down at all. How's it been for you guys planning out like this year and next year? Because I know you guys are ahead of schedule. Because the comics figures just keep coming. And you guys had a break from movies because you couldn't release movie product during last year for some of the films. So are we going to continue to see that push for comics and movies on top, or is comics going to pull back a little bit and movies kind of fill in spaces where you need to?
We have to develop products so far out in advance that even though Black Widow and Eternals and Shang-Chi have yet to be released, the product has been done,
Yeah.
for a while. So, yeah, just the release schedule felt a little more comic heavy last year to close out the year and into this year, but it's always about that mix of comic and studio, and now Disney Plus. So we've been revealing the Disney Plus figures kind of piecemeal fashion in partnering with Marvel on their Marvel must-have website every Monday, following the new episodes there. But yeah, it's kind of full steam ahead. And then if there's late changes in the game, like a studio date will shift. If we're ahead of the on-shelf time enough, we can move the on-shelf, like so what happened with Eternals basically. But then for Black Widow last year, the product had already started setting in the spring, and then we were supposed to get the summer, the movie I think in like May, and then it got pushed back, and then that was kind of too late. So it's still just development as normal.
Were any of the figures kind of that we've seen revealed so far kind of moved up in the lineup, where you wanted to get them out or need to fill in spots, and then other stuff got pushed back? Like,
for Disney Plus specifically, or
just in general, like we have an all Iron Man wave, an Iron Man wave coming up, and so did some of the comic stuff move up that might have been in a movie wave that you might have kind of mixed in, or has it all been kind of scheduled for you guys normal?
I think it's been scheduled. It's always easier to push product back than it is to bring product forward.
Okay.
So yeah.
The retro line, I really like the retro cards with Spider-Man, X-Men, the classic silver and stars. You guys teased Fantastic Four with Doom last year. Are there any plans to revisit them as a wave? Like you said, I think Ryan said in one of the previous ones, you said we have those in our back pocket that we can use when we need to. Are there plans to go for a wave for those, or is it still going to just be one-offs as you kind of need a figure in a certain specific lineup?
Yeah, whether it's waves or just individual drops like that Doom, that was kind of a special. It was originally intended for, wasn't it, like the international conventions, Dan, right, last year, that never ended up happening. But yeah, it's a great undertaking by Ben and the packaging team and the structure team to design that very unique Fantastic Four card with the circular bubble. And so once that's in the bag, we can leverage it in the future for more characters. And so it's a big year for Fantastic Four, as you saw with the HasLab tease. So yeah, I feel like there's a good chance for more Fantastic Four later this year.
And revisiting the other ones as needed if something pops up that's appropriate.
For so like that, like original
X-Men,
like
or
you were
Spider-Man.
saying, the superheroes 1990
Yeah.
Marvel superheroes look. We've got X-Men in the bag, so those are with some variations. We did like the black X-Force version for Deadpool, and there was the purple villain for Silver Samurai. So those are all kind of up for grabs now, as well as future line looks. We got a question previously about the new Iron Man wave, and would you consider a retro version of the Iron Man wave? And yeah, I think that's on the list too.
Okay, cool. Speaking of the Iron Man wave, the holographic stuff that you guys are doing looked really cool, and you've got like holographic, like fully holographic Iron Man armor, and then you've got a holographic Iron Man or Tony head. Were those planned so they could be swappable? And will the colors match enough that they can put the unmasked head on the holographic body?
I'd have to grab both samples when I was in the office to check. I think that would be a wonderful thing if it works. It was not planned that way. That could be one of those victims of us being removed from the office so quickly that we didn't have the chance to put those things next to each other and bring it all together. Those were both waves that were developed in the beginning of the virus when we were all leaving the office, and they're on different types of bodies, with one of them being a theatrical body and one of them being classic. The neck balls should be close they should be able to be swapped. I just don't know if the neck heights are in alignment. Sometimes it means that the head's either really too low or too high. I can check that, and but I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately, right here on the call. It's a great idea, though. I'll steal it for the next time.
Bill will be thrilled about that. I think that's a really good look for it. Was it hard for you guys to figure out the pinless stuff for that, or looking at how to hide that stuff when it's still visible?
Yeah, that is one of the biggest challenges. It's between figuring out what the right color to mold it is because the POM joints, it's a different type of a plastic that can't be as crystal clear as PVC or ABS is. So it's kind of a milkier tone. So it's been a challenge to figure out what the right color is to put inside the translucent blue so that it hides it as well as possible, since it won't be a translucent element itself. So that has been a unique challenge this year with those types of figures, just because changing from the old way of the pinned knees and elbows, which is rare, but was possible to do those joints in PVC, so it would be perfectly seamless. I think the last one that we accomplished it on was actually the Toy Fair exclusive Sunfire, which is a lifetime ago, but that one had like perfectly clean joints because we were able to, because it was a lower run, we were able to give it the PVC joints, which is something that typically we can't do. So, or we typically don't do. So, but I think so now it's just a matter of how can you hide it with this pinless tech. It's great to not have the holes through it, but how do you make that milky color look as seamless as possible? And I'm happy with the way it ended up, but it was definitely more of a than a normal figure.
Is it getting a little bit better? I had a few QC issues with the first round of pinless stuff. Have you seen like a progression in that from announcing it last year to kind of as you move forward with the line?
Yeah, there's definitely been some growing pains just, with bringing a new technology and trying to figure out what the millimeter dimensions inside the arm need to be for the joints to not lock and fuse together versus being able to move, versus they want extra space for this, that, or the other, which would make the arm longer than it should be. So now we're able to plan for it better and adjust the length of the bicep and the forearm accordingly, knowing that it requires an extra whatever for the gap and the slight break at the elbow pin. So there's definitely been a learning curve this year with all of that, but I think it's improving, and I think everybody seems to be really stoked with it. Everybody seems really happy with the look of it, and I think getting some of those characters in a cleaner look has been really, really nice. And I know we're excited for when we have the opportunity to finally put those types of arms and legs on a Spider-Man and get you the perfect red on the outside, blue on the inside, classic look. So it's obviously going to be coming. It's just a matter of when we can get it out there.
Cool. One of the lines I love this year was the retro line, the little 3 3/4 Kenner line. One of the questions I had about it was, is it difficult to kind of balance your character selection sticking in that time frame range? And would you guys go outside of that range to characters that maybe weren't around in the early 80s and that wouldn't have had a figure? Because like when I look at the Hulk, I feel like I'm watching Saturday morning cartoons, because that Hulk matches up to that cartoon so well that like I couldn't imagine a Deadpool or like a Venom. I couldn't imagine it, but I wouldn't aesthetically look right for me at least.
I mean, yes and no. It is a defined time period, like you say, but the benefit of starting a expression from scratch is that everyone's on the table.
Okay.
So I think at a certain point we will get to that where it's like, oh, do we want to start doing lesser uh, known characters or maybe not as strong characters, or do we want to try opening up new doors to bringing in more of those like 90s feel and then but into this old style packaging. So it's just us getting comfortable with the line and launching with kind of what feels most familiar. And then we've had pitch discussions with JB, who's now the designer leading up this, of like, hey, can we do a Deadpool breaks the fourth wall? Is this a good chance for him to break the fourth wall and kick us into this new avenue to bring in more modern characters? I think that's all on the table, but no, we're glad you're digging them, and I think it does appeal to a particular nostalgic fan who remembers the good old days of Kenner, and who might also just be a fan of classic Marvel comics and animation and those types of things, and as well as the new casual fan who might just want something a little different than Legends with these still very recognizable characters. So we appreciate the support. It's starting to trickle out early at Target. It's not an exclusive. It was the Target just had an early out program as part of their Easter in-store promotions, but it should be waves 1 and 2 and 3 that we revealed at PulseCon should be, or Fan Fest, I should say, will be available everywhere soon.
Yeah, no, they don't stay on shelves here in Connecticut. Like every time we go to the store, you might see a Spider-Man or a Hulk, but they're gone within 2 days for sure. And I made my first custom in I think like 5 or 6 years. I took a Miss Marvel and I repainted her as Firestar because I figure you'll get to her eventually.
Nice.
But
Nice.
we have an Iceman, we have a Spider-Man in wave 1 and 2. I had to get a Firestar, so it was
That
a
does
pretty
make
easy
sense.
repaint. Let's see. The Eye of Agamotto and Brothor showed new packaging with the Infinity Saga. Is that like your back half of the year program, like you've done with the 20th anniversary of Fox and for the Marvel 80th and 10th anniversary? Is that kind of like the trend going for the end of the year or back half?
So stay tuned for more on exactly what all the wonders of the back half of the year entail. But what we have been saying is just the Infinity Saga branding, which has been coined by Marvel, and that's kind of their umbrella way to group phases 1 through 3. It's really great for all CP, including toys and Legends, that we get to go back and do new versions or different versions of characters, I should say, that we're familiar with. So Thor being a shining example of that, as well as the chance to go back and do characters who have never maybe had a Legends figure by Hasbro or something in a 6-inch line, because there have been so many characters throughout the years and a lot of little fan favorites. Dwight and I think have a little side bet on 2 characters that we've both been campaigning for years, and so hopefully if and when those come out, they will get the response that we have been hoping for.
Cool. So these are I have one last question from fans, which is we usually see a Pulse, a new army builder a couple times a year, and we're 4 months in and we haven't heard of a new army builder yet for those, because they're just amazing. Are there plans soonish to see a new army builder on Pulse?
Yeah. So I think we have to remember what we've said, right? Which is becoming more challenging with all these live streams, but we have said more troop builders. And I think when we're planning Dan and I sit down and we plan with the Pulse team, kind of our next live streams, I think we'll try to throw a bone in at some point. But yeah, there will be more this year we've announced, and we think you're going to love them.
If it helps,
Go out and get a lot of them.
If it
Order
helps
10
you
at a
any,
time.
if it helps at all, Ryan, the samples just arrived this week at the office.
Oh, so we can even have it in person on the stream.
Okay.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's good. Well, a follow-up to that is are there plans or can you work with the Pulse team or Hasbro Pulse, the website itself, to up the quantities? Because for the Hellfire Guards, they were 2. You can only order 2 at a time. And so I had to call friends to order so I can get my 10.
Uh-huh.
And then I've got, I don't know, a couple dozen AIM and Hydra. So it just makes ordering a little bit difficult when the quantities are lower for things like an army builder. So
Yeah, we're looking at that. They kind of have to manage all of the order limits accordingly for different items, right? To give everyone kind of a fair share. But I think for troop builders, where we know people need multiples, we'll try to up that if we can.
yeah, I'm trying to beat Tony on my Hydra goons right now. I got to take a picture of it. He posted a picture as a challenge.
Them away for years though, from like the original 14
Yeah.
Captain America wave to that 2-pack. Yeah. So.
And he's got an unfair advantage, right? He's not exactly dropping a coin on those things. All right. So
yeah, I know, but I still want to make him up his game a little bit on some of those.
I like that. I like that.
Marvel, I'm all in on. I will say that Marvel for army building, I'm all in. So it's like 20 or less is not acceptable. So my last question is more of a want. So I said to Dwight last time we saw each other, I ran out of must-haves or grails or things I really want in the line. You gave me Blink, you gave me Firestar. I figured out the last figure I need to feel complete in Legends. I'll keep collecting, but has Favreau said, without revealing if you're doing the figure, but has he put on the table like, don't make a figure of me, or is that something that you guys could pursue if you wanted to do a Happy Hogan figure?
I think we could pursue it. I mean, there are, you hit on a beat there that there are some things that we're just not able to activate against for any number of reasons. We've kind of talked about that stuff in the past. I don't believe we've addressed or heard of those types of issues with a Happy Hogan though. You guys, can you remember anything like that? I don't think so.
No, and it's more of like, I like to try to stay hopeful when people say, what about this 70s TV show, or what about this non-MCU film? It's like, it's all technically possible. Sometimes it's just you have to do a lot of heavy lifting on the business side, like because there's contracts and stuff if it's a property that is so old. But for Happy characters like that are in these contemporary MCU films, I think they're definitely on the table, and that's a great one. I know, maybe all the Mandalorian fans might want a Jon Favreau figure to grace their Mandalorian shelves as well. We can double dip from that perspective.
Well, that's what my heavy armor is my Jon Favreau for that. So I was just looking forward to having him
awesome
in.
Idea.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's my big want. So I'll be bugging you guys for that for sure. Thank you guys for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
So would you be mad at us if we gave you a classic Happy Hogan instead?
Does
that not meet the ask?
I would probably find somebody that sculpts heads and get a head that I can swap on. I don't do it. I really don't. I usually stick with your guys' stuff. I like stuff being pure, but for that, I probably would swap it. So
if we like somehow got a Happy Hogan, like what would be your next grail then? Or like
it would take I don't know. Like I'm excited to see what you guys are doing with Age of Apocalypse, because that's one of my favorite storylines. It was like prime reading, like Ryan and the cards, like that was my prime reading time, and really got me into it. So I'm really excited to see fleshing out Age of Apocalypse for sure. But after that, like I'm just happy to collect after that. Like it won't be like I can't wait. It'll just be like, great, everything's gravy, everything's great. It's fun to have like the worlds at your fingertips with this design, because that's what it feels like. So and I have one last question for Dan. Is that Venom on the back shelf there that he's holding the card? Is that a 90s Venom that he's holding?
It is a 90s Venom.
Okay.
It is a 90s Venom.
Because I've had a lot of questions about
that.
Dan,
someone texted me a minute ago and they were like, Dan just revealed a new vintage Venom like on the stream, and it's like, really? Okay. Yeah, so confirm it all.
I did not.
It's a Toy Biz. It's a Toy Biz.
It's a Toy Biz. Toy Biz. Yeah. Here. Oh crap. Toy Biz.
Okay. Because that's what everybody asked last time. They were like, ask him if that's real. Ask him if that's real. So if it's a tease.
It's real old.
It is. Well, thank you guys for taking the time. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you all.
Yeah, you as well. Can't wait to see you in person.
I know. Soon, I hope. Soon.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
take care, man. Bye.
Bye.